Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of The Institute, Episode 5. After this review, make sure to check out my interview with Ben Barnes and Joe Freeman of the show. It's a really fun time. And please make sure to subscribe to my Instagram so you don't miss one of my reviews of movies. I also do fun meme posts as well. It's a really good time, and I could really use the help on Instagram. So with the review, we're going to start with everything going on at the Institute, and then we'll go to everything going on with Tim. Now, we really start right where we left off with Avery and this reveal that he's able to see through his TP what Maureen is doing in the recovery room. And we see that through that, he is seeing she's bringing a kid into this room where they're all hooked up to these machines. And I think that the Institute is just draining any last piece of these kids have left and their powers and their energies in those machines. And then when they eventually die, we see they go into an oven. So if you had that theory with the black smoke, which somehow I missed, but it makes complete sense. So it's really dark. And we see Nikki's been calling it from the beginning that there is no going home. But we'll see that obviously Maureen is breaking down emotionally being around this all the time. So it's obviously somewhere they know that they can hit on. So Luke's having a day of bad news because he sees what him and Avery's end will be in these chimneys. And then he has to meet with Sigsby, and she reveals to him that he was framed basically for the murder of his parents. The news article is very strange, though, how they worded this, because it's worded the headline as an apparent murder-suicide. But I'm trying to figure out why it's considered a suicide if you look at the story in the article and that he's just missing and he's a suspect in the case. So it's weird that there's no evidence that he killed himself. He's just missing. So I thought that was kind of strange. They didn't just write it as murder of parents. But he's pissed. He goes for her neck and then gets restrained. But this is a moment we get to see. It's nice to see the rest of his group comfort him. Even little Avery's so hopeful, and he's telling him not to quit on them. Now this is where we see it leads to Nikki's graduation day. I have to say the actor of Nikki has been one of the bright spots acting-wise of the show. Very, very good. I'm excited to see what he does next. But this episode, he really shined to me, especially his scenes in the back half, which we'll get to. Now, he confronts Sigsby and the crew about the chimneys, and he throws stuff, and he gets restrained. So you're feeling it. They're losing members of their group. So Luke tells Maureen that he himself is going to be sent to the back half soon, that they're caught on that he is TP, and that the time to help is now. And now he's really leaning into Maureen that what if it was your son here, what would you do? I also think there's more to Maureen's story we don't know yet about her son, which will be interesting. Maybe he was once there, or something else. They're using blackmail against him. We'll see. But Maureen will come around, so this works. And she gives him the key card, but also gives him scissors for the chip in his ear. And at that moment, you're like, oh no. But also, this is all in the plan to get him closer to that back fence he can escape through. Now, Avery and Henry help out because they pretend they're fighting over what they're going to watch on TV. This distracts the guard. And then Luke's able to unwire the air conditioner. So this will go to his theory about how the cameras are detecting a certain temperature and the heat messes that up. And we'll see that the guards acknowledge this later on, where they don't even see the guard on the security camera in this whole situation. But before this even all happens, Sigsby did see Maureen talking to Luke on camera. So she brings Maureen in and explains that they really did kill Luke's parents and it was collateral damage because they woke up during the kidnapping. But she also wants Maureen to go home and not come back to Luke's in the back half because she senses an attachment. But she ends up agreeing that Maureen can stay the night fine. But obviously because the story has to go a certain way, right? We need Maureen one more night to get this mission accomplished. Now we get to see the movie night in the back half. This is the biggest thing they do. This is like the grand ending for the kids. We see Iris is the conductor and everyone is hooked up to her. But the thing is, after tonight, she's set to go home once you are the conductor, but after the recovery room, of course, but it's really being sent to your death. Everyone around Iris has to give in to the hum, and Iris is the one who wants to focus on the task. And we see now what they're doing. She eventually takes over this Russian doctor, and he poisons this Russian official. So this is the whole goal of the Institute, and this was already hinted at with that plane crash that someone, obviously from the Institute, a kid, was conducting a session that was controlling what happened with that plane crashing and that important government person in the plane. So this is what they're doing. This is the power they're using of these kids. And Iris then has a seizure after and is brought to the recovery room. Now, while we're seeing all this messed up stuff happen in the back half, in the first half, Avery and Luke are having a lot of momentum. They're bonding here. It's one of the better things that's working in the show is Avery and Luke's relationship. And Avery says, sometimes you win by showing you're willing to fight. So they're getting motivated. It's getting really hot, by the way. Now the AC's off. And Luke gives Avery the scissors to cut his chip out of his ear. And Avery's like, no way I'm doing this. So then Luke just does it, and it's gruesome. I actually didn't think they'd go there, but they did. So, okay, now we have something that justifies having an older actor, right? Where this tops that twin getting hit in the face. Now, Luke is guided by Avery's strong TP. It was cool to finally see them talking through their telepathic powers. And while this is happening and Luke's escaping, Sigsby has Hendrix come to him in the storage room to celebrate, but it's not really for that reason. He's all excited, think he's going to get it in again, but it's just to actually keep Stackhouse off of her scent. But she puts her foot down and is like, Luke is going to the back half, period. So this goes against what Hendrix obviously wants to do. More what Stackhouse wants to do is keep Luke in the front half to use him for selling off to somebody else because he's so intellectually smart and powerful. But Luke sneaks by them, goes into a laundry basket that Maureen will take. Of course, Tony's there and wants a towel. But he does say he's going to a truck stop, so I think he might run into Tim next episode, which should be an interesting confrontation. I think we're all just waiting for Tony to get his now. But Luke will end up in the recovery room, and he's completely spooked by it. And Maureen, though, says when he gets out, she knows a reporter, and she gives him this USB drive, and she says, show the world what goes on here. So we see that's the goal here. That would be the most successful thing Luke can do getting out of there, especially because he's got, like, nobody now. He lost his parents. He also finds Iris, who does not look good, and he finds the oven heating up, but he's able to get outside to the back fence, which is a big cliffhanger, and exciting to see where this goes next. So I really liked everything going on with the main storyline here. I definitely think this is the best episode so far. Before I give my rating, though, let's go to everything that goes on with Tim. So Tim arrives at the gate of the Institute. What's important here, the no trespassing sign says no trepe, which connects to what he saw. The kids who died supposedly at the Red Steps, their thing they said was no trepe. So this explains they've been there and that they would eventually break into where the Institute is. But Stackhouse was already on to Tim, especially why they killed Annie, of course. But now he's worried that Tim is showing up here. Tim notices that the fences have the barbed wire on the inside, so even more suspicious. And Stackhouse and Sigsby come to agreement that killing Tim could cause more issues because they don't know enough about him yet. And that he could be FBI or it could be someone from upstairs. It could be a test. We still got a lot to learn about the upstairs too, which is going to be interesting. What is Frank Lapidus up to? Who are these people? But Tim meets with Wendy. She updates her on all this info. And she gives him info on the building. And obviously Tim thinks the kids who died the Red Steps didn't. They were just found there caught breaking into the Institute. So he takes Wendy's car and he's going to go back to the Red Steps, which is the cliffhanger for Tim's story. But there is also a moment here where Stackhouse does go to see Tim. And there's an important line where he says his instructor once said, always pays to know more about the other guy than he knows about you. And that's where Tim's like, instructor in what? And it's cut off. So I think that might connect to Frank Lapidus' character in the upstairs group. And Tim obviously sharing his theory about the Red Step kids at Stackhouse is going to obviously put a target on his back. So it's setting up a lot of interesting stuff with Tim's story. So there's a lot of momentum in this episode. I thought it was the best episode by far of the show so far. I'm going to give it an 8.2. Everything's starting to cook now and come together. I think that the ceiling is going to go higher for this show now that we can see a lot of stuff's already been revealed, so there's probably plenty more to be revealed, and how they're actually going to get out of this building and how it's going to connect with Tim all together and the whole conspiracy behind it all. So I'm curious and excited to see. We're halfway through the show, so this was a good sign for me that it's going up now and a lot better than some of the previous episodes. So I'm going to give it an 8.2. Let me know your theories down below. Let me know your thoughts on the episode. Please no book spoilers. Please check out my interview with Ben Barnes and Joe Freeman. And please subscribe to this channel and follow me at Steve Varley Show on Instagram. I could really use the help there. I appreciate all you guys, and I'll see you next week.